Microsoft and Bethesda are set to announce 5 new AAA IPs this summer, and Modern Vintage Gamer did a video talking about Xbox's DRM, so let's talk about it. We are getting closer and closer to E3, and we are getting more information and leaks as to what is going to be shown off. And I think this week we're probably going to get a lot more information, as well as hopefully the actual dates of when the Xbox event is going to be at E3. And also make sure to stay tuned to my channel during E3, as I will be streaming the event. But besides all of that, we got some more information from Xbox insider Klobrille, who is claiming that Microsoft will have 5 unannounced AAA games to reveal this summer. Now, here is what he says. Firstly, last year, there were 4 new games. We had Forza Motorsport, State of Decay 3, Avowed, and Fable. But he goes on here to say that for this year, including Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda, so far I do think I already know about 5 completely new AAA titles being announced this summer. Some more expected than others. Then continues on here saying, plans are still fluctuating though. At the end of the day, I think it is fair expectation that gameplay trailers and or demos should have bigger presence, at least for the already announced things coming this and next year. So there's 2 things to be really excited about here. One, obviously brand new IPs are always something that get people talking and excited as to what is to come from Xbox Game Studios. And to think that 5 more new AAA games from Bethesda and Xbox are coming on top of what already has been announced is a little bit mind-blowing, to say the least. But what else is great here is that they're going to be showing off more gameplay trailers and demos from stuff that has already been announced. And for me, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I would love to see brand new IPs that we haven't heard of, but I definitely more than anything want to see more in-depth looks at these games that they've already announced and give us more of a roadmap and timeline as to when we will actually be able to get our hands on them. Another intriguing thing is, what are these new IPs? Like, we've heard from a couple of people that there is at least one more massive IP that they're going to be showing off this year, that even may be potentially coming out this year. Firstly, Ben Deckers, Xbox's head of gaming services, said that Xbox Game Studio is working on a new IP that's going to blow your mind. And then if you remember back to the Iron Lords podcast when Jason Ronald was on, he was specifically asked what game coming out this year he was most excited for. And his response was, not all games that are releasing in 2021 have been announced yet. So who knows what that means? Could he be referring to Forza Horizon 5? I mean, we're seeing lots of rumors on that game is going to be dropping very soon, even as soon as September. But if it's not that, what else could he mean? I mean, is there another brand new IP that they have been working on secretly in the background and we don't know anything about it, and they're just going to announce it and drop it this year? We'll have to wait and see. So I'm excited to see what all of this is about once E3 hits. Now, moving on here to, I would say, a pretty controversial video for a lot of people. I'm not actually sure why, because I did watch the whole MVG video, and he really was just reporting on facts of the situation for the majority of the video and letting us know what is going on with the DRM issue with Xbox. So basically, he talks about how you are really unable to play a lot of games offline. You need to kind of check into Xbox Live to be able to access them, mainly backwards compatible games and smart delivery games. But for the native Series X games, it actually worked where you could just play it off of the disc if you were offline. And this was something that a lot of people get concerned about when it comes to these newer consoles, thinking about like 20-25 years down the road. If they're not connected to the network, are you still going to be able to play the physical games that you purchase? We previously saw what could happen going forward with PlayStation when they were going to take off and shut down all of their like PS3 store and everything, but then they went back on that because the community didn't want that to happen, which was a great thing that they kept those stores up. But it is definitely concerning if you're somebody who owns a bunch of games and you're somebody who likes to play older games. So in like 20-25 years from now, you're going to want to play with your Series X, and your game may not work if it's not connected to the network. And it kind of goes back to my discussion and thoughts about Forever Physical and kind of how useless it is right now, with the fact that you do need to connect to the network, because a lot of these games don't have the full game on the disc, especially with the backwards compatible games. When you put it into your Series X, as he showed off in the video, you still need to download like the emulator and configuration files and all that kind of stuff to get it to work. So yes, backwards compatibility is great, but the Series X and the Series S still need to be able to have access to that emulation, download those files for the games to work, and for that to even be able to function, you're going to have to connect to the network. Now, one of the things as well with this is a lot of these games, if your console, if you have them digitally, if you set your home console, you're going to generally be able to access these games. Now, some of them, he said, didn't work, like Ori and the Will of the Wisps, so that was kind of one way around it. But I understand the concern when it comes to DRM if you're somebody who doesn't always want to be connected to the network, and I hope this is something that Xbox looks into and potentially removes so that it's easier to be able to access and play either physical games or even digital games without having to connect to Xbox Live. But with all this being said, an Xbox dev responded to the report that DRM is a serious problem on Xbox Series X. This was an Xbox developer by the name of Oscar K, and they responded to the video basically saying that the main takeaway from the video is that Xbox needs to improve on its console error messaging. So here is what they say. Having watched the video and read through the discussion here, my main takeaway is that we, Xbox, need to improve our on-console error messaging. The very generic and unclear error messaging clearly adds confusion and can lead to mistrust of the system. There's actually an effort internally to revamp licensing related error messaging, and I will ensure that this feedback is heard internally to continue driving the effort. So firstly, that's a great thing. It seems like to the developer, more so than all the things that Modern Vintage Gamer showed off, the issue here is the error messaging. So it may not be as nefarious and as bad. I mean, I don't know, but based off of what he said there, that's what it sounds like. But it's also great that they are going to take the feedback from the video and bring it internally. And like I said, hopefully, if there are bigger DRM issues that haven't been addressed, they start to address those. And we've seen Xbox listen to the community and address issues in the past. So there's that to keep your eye on going forward. And then he goes on to talk about the different ways that games have to be installed depending on which generation of Xbox they are. So he says here, smart delivery discs vary in content for a variety of reasons. Discs like Forza Horizon 4 were pressed years before Series XS existed. Repressing discs is expensive and doesn't actually help anyone since it requires the user to repurchase anyways. Discs like FIFA 21 were pressed with a stub of the XS version, as that version simply was not ready at the time the discs were pressed. Discs may not be able to contain both versions of the game for space reasons. Which versions are pressed is up to the developer, but I would expect that it will generally line up with whichever was the primary version developed. For now, cross-gen titles are primarily targeting Xbox One, but that will change over time. And that makes a lot of sense, and it's something that I've mentioned with this Forever Physical thing, which is why I think like Forever Physical in this day and age is useless, because these discs can only hold certain amount of information, especially with the cross-generational stuff. There's absolutely no way for the majority of these games that are so big, you're going to be able to have both versions on the disc. You're going to have some sort of download and connection to Xbox Live and to the Xbox Store in order for these games, for smart delivery to work and for them to just function properly. So at least there's an explanation as to what is going on here with the discs, with the pressing and all that kind of stuff. It's something that developers obviously will have a better understanding of, but overall, Modern Vintage Gamer did a video talking about the DRM, and I'm seeing people getting upset about it, saying that he's anti-Xbox and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's not true. He's really just showing the facts of what is going on with the Xbox Series X DRM. And me personally, I hope that going forward, Xbox looks at this, addresses it, so that in 20 years from now, if the Xbox Series X is a console you still want to play games on, and you have a bunch of physical games or even games that have been downloaded onto the hard drive, you're still going to be able to access them, because that would suck if that doesn't work. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Let me know what you think about 5 new unannounced IPs coming from Xbox and from Bethesda. I think that's really exciting. Let me know what you think about this DRM stuff from Modern Vintage Gamer. Did you watch the video, and do you agree that he is just telling you what's going on and not really being anti-Xbox or anything like that? And are you concerned about the DRM on Xbox and hope that Microsoft addresses this? Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you like what you see throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help the channel grow, help grow this community, so we can have great conversations in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.